Oneofus.net is sponsored by Circle Brewing Company.
You be home by 7! I'll be home by 6.
Sure, whatever.
This isn't going to be easy to say because I just learned English this morning.
So you guys created, the Arizona Circle. How that was a huge, tedious writing process that you guys took. How serious between content creation were you able to?
Well, Elise was lead writer on the show. Is lead writer on the show.
The contribution was equal.
Elise is lead writer on the show.
I've also been saying that, like, James, Elise, Josh, Chris put the bulk of the work on that writing.
Aaron Marquis.
And Aaron, yeah, because you guys spent almost the entire week in a room with each other for like 12 hours a day banging out scripts, that was a lot of work.
It was almost entirely written in the span of 7 days. Yeah, 7 days. It wasn't, I don't think it was excruciating. I just think it was a different process. The big thing about our system is that if you want to do those types of things, it doesn't mean the Funhaus channel stops. So you basically build up to it. Even events like this, like being here, means that we build up to the ability to step away from it for 5 days to do this stuff. So that's, I think, where the bulk of the work comes in a lot of times.
Yeah, so we basically hosted a writer's room at our office, and then Funhaus didn't stop. So between content, people would be coming into the room to contribute ideas, brainstorm, work on different sketches, and then kind of filter out. So it's sort of a revolving door like that. If we were to get a series, ideally it'd be the sort of thing where we could have just everybody there working for a more substantial time. It wouldn't be like we're juggling both at the same time.
The beginning of the year, we laid out a pitch of these are goals, these are things we want to create. And then Brucey basically says yay or nay, and then we schedule accordingly. I mean, a lot of the stuff we do is creative and it's fun, but it's still a business, so we have to act accordingly and plan accordingly. You can't just shut the channel down because then, a lot of people working here.
No need to thank us. Your smiles are enough. Bills in the mail.
You guys are very open when it comes to your personal lives as well as your content and your creation. How much do you feel like feedback really helps with your change in content creation, especially with how much you guys said you're going to start changing more as time's gone on as well?
Yeah, feedback can be tricky. YouTube gives you all kinds of empirical and subjective feedback. There's views, likes, dislikes, and that's getting weirder as YouTube changes as a platform. It honestly is getting harder to derive any meaningful conclusion out of any of the feedback you get these days because you have a smattering of very hardcore opinions on Reddit. You have a variety of just meaningful and noisy comments on YouTube. You have internal feedback from your coworkers, from your friends, from your company. There's a lot of different audiences to consider. Honestly, events like these are very helpful because it's nice to actually talk to people face to face. Get away from all the math and the numbers and the demographics and all that stuff. But as far as incorporating feedback goes, it used to be easier 4 years ago. You could take a good lesson away from how episodes would do relative to each other. Now, man, YouTube just keeps tweaking algorithms and who knows what's going on. So for me personally, I just have to fall back on am I proud of it? Did it make me laugh? And did it find an audience somehow?
How many cops does it take to change the light bulb?
None, because they beat it to death.
Oh, I'm from Texas.
He is Russian. Is this the first time we've heard his voice? Basically.
Alakini voice actor, can you do your Texas accent, please?
Yes, very much I can.
Wow, you really nailed it.
I love hamburgers and country music.
We've chosen games where we're like, this is going to be great. I've heard it's broken. We're going to have such a good time. We get nothing out of it. It's whatever's kind of inspiring us that particular day. And I think actually why this group works so well together is I feel like we can almost make content out of nothing. We can never foresee those things, and I think that's why. I think that's a big reason why the audience, reacts to the content so well, is that it feels natural and it feels improv, and that's always, that always works really well for humor. Obviously, we do plan certain things, but I think a lot of times it's just like, just kind of let us naturally do our thing, and if we can find a rhythm, that usually works the best.
My favorite games are generally like a man with a dream made a game with third-person models in his basement, and he wrote the script for it, and he modeled it all himself, and like a Strangers in a Strange Land type of game, and it's like where was this fever dream like conceived of? I love anything with like a third-person character model.
Like
I think
like a clone of a clone.
Yeah, it looks like someone put you in the clone machine and hit copy 5 times, and the final one came out broken. Like those, I love those ones.
Elise is also really good at finding some of the most obscure titles, weird sort of Kickstarter games, mostly like smut.
Oh, Night Marchers was great.
Oh yeah,
Night Marchers is
great. Yeah,
And that's what I enjoy about your channel, I think, probably the most, is that it's just not just AAA every other 20 seconds. It's like something just batshit fucking insane.
You can't bank a channel on that though. That's the other thing too, where like we've been, you've seen someone who's like, blank plays Minecraft, and it's like, well, how are you gonna pivot out of this in 10 years? And they go, what? I want to get rich now, so I'm gonna play this thing. I think it's one of the things we kind of pride ourselves on. Is like, we'll play anything and everything, and try to make it, as good as we can. Obviously, we have our bread and butter, but I think we'll just keep playing everything and anything as long as we can.
Please don't fall.
Oh, that's some rock music!
Oh my God, Lawrence, are you okay?
Lawrence's body parts fell off.
I was going to just say, I wanted to ask about the Google Trends show, because that's kind of really evolved a lot over time, from first just being you guys at your desk basically challenging each other with whatever stupidity Google has, and now it's kind of its own full-fledged show. You have a set, you have Lawrence hurting himself repeatedly.
And others.
That's all Lawrence plussing it up from just the tiny little desk show to the big show.
Do you see that kind of expanding even further?
I mean, it might have to. The most recent episode, people on Reddit don't like it at all. It's weird, and Bruce kind of hinted at it with like beginning and ending demo disc and things like that. The illusion of newness is more important than the actuality of newness. So yeah, I have to find some way to trick the audience into thinking they're not watching the same thing. So in regards to Google Trends, I mean, I have a bit of a compulsion. If I have any amount of free time, I bite off way more than I can chew, and that was basically what that was. Basically, I'll take a shower, and then my mind will start going, and I'll come up with all these cool ideas, and then I'll try to make them work, and invariably it'll be more complicated than I thought, and then I'll get stressed and lash out at people. But as far as that goes, that was essentially, the goal was to convert that into an ad platform, and it worked. So that part's good, except now I have to make the show still good.
The one thing that I think that Google Trends is a good example, like Lawrence is talking about, with it's sort of like the Dude Soups and the Google Trends and the open houses and stuff like that. I still think there's a market for those shows, and every time they go up on the YouTube channel, people like them. And I think Lawrence personally did a great job on that show, actually turning it into a game show.
Right.
Whereas before it was just, again, it was just us typing on a computer. Yeah, it was a gameplay really. And now it's an actual game show, and like we've talked about making it an app and stuff like that. It's actually turning it into something that would be much larger. So I don't know. I think that's kind of the credit to the whole team. Really, that's what everybody does. It's like we take a little idea, try it out on the YouTube channel, and sort of use that as our little space. And then if it hits, then we go, oh, cool. Well, we can probably make this bigger. And like, how do we plus it up? And then it turns into something that you see almost every week.
Excuse me, sir. Funhaus asked you to autograph that disc, please.
Who? Funhaus?
Yes, Funhaus.
Do you have anything else like that you guys are passionate about that may come into more content later down the line?
Space Camp whispered softly in the night.
We joke that RT Docs is basically the wish fulfillment department. You just need a Rooster Teeth employee or adjacent has to just go to Rooster Teeth and be like, I have a dream. And then they'll like make a documentary about it and let you do it.
I would see the guy in India. All right.
Yeah. Well, we've been pitching Funhaus Hawaiian style for a long time where Bruce goes to learn to surf. We did pitch sending us all to adult space camp. It didn't gain a lot of traction. Sometimes ideas don't get traction. But Space Camp is at RTX this year. apparently because in a podcast I talked about how I went to space camp as a kid and how we should go to adult space camp and use that as leverage to like justify their being here. Because honestly, I think if more people knew that you could go to space camp when you actually had the money to go to space camp, like as an adult and not a terrified child, like more people would do it. But now what we've done is we told Achievement Hunter about it, and they all want to go to space camp.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're all
So
going
now
to
it's almost certainly going to happen.
There needs to be a Rooster Teeth week where everybody goes to space.
Everybody goes to
Jack's
space
gonna be in that Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
Oneofus.net is sponsored by Circle Brewing Company, located in Austin, Texas at 2340 West Breaker Lane, Suite B. You can go visit them there at their both brew pub and brewery and try a lot of their seasonals that they have there, or you can get their beers in various stores around town and even, from what I'm told, outside of Texas. Please check out Circle Brewery and their many fine craft beers. Sponsor of Oneofus.net.